Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ave Danielle Navarra, and I'll be discussing about the work system design, compensation, and learning curves. So, worker compensation is the third part of work system design. So, companies need to develop compensation systems that reinforce the behaviors needed to meet the company's objectives. So, there are two types of compensation. First is the time-based system, and the second one is the output-based system. The next is time-based compensation system. So time-based systems compensate the employee according to the number of hours worked during the pay period. So time-based compensation systems are normally used when measuring output per employee is not applicable. Say, for example, for managers, administrative support staff, and some direct laborers. So you have to consider an employee working in your company's research and development group. So this employee is doing creative work which is not easily measured in terms of output. The advantage of time-based system is its simplicity. So for the company, wages are easily calculated, and for the employees, the pay is steady and they know what they will get in their regular paycheck. So to sum it all, time-based compensation systems, they pay based on the number of hours worked. And the output-based or incentive systems, link employee pay to performance. So employee are paid based on their output and not on the number of hours they work. So output-based or incentive systems or piece rate systems or commission systems can be linked to Frederick Taylor's theory that humans are economically motivated. So these systems reward workers for their output and not for the time or the number of hours they worked. The more the more the workers produces, the more the worker earns. So the assumption is that some workers are motivated by money and produce more when pay is linked to performance. So in short, output-based or incentive systems, they pay based on the number of units completed. So these incentive systems can be designed to compensate either the individual or an entire group of employees. The next is individual incentive plans. So individual incentive plans typically provide a base salary for the employee plus a bonus for output achieved above the standard. So the successful incentive plans are linked to quality as well as to quantity. So encouraging a worker to produce low quality units faster does not make a good business sense. So the incentive plan must be clear on how output is counted. Next is the group incentive plan. So group incentive plans are designed to reward employees when the company achieves certain performance objectives. So there are two methods, the profit sharing and the gain sharing. Next is about profit sharing. So profit sharing rewards employees when the company achieves a certain profitability level. One variation of profit sharing places half the profits in excess of the minimum return on investment into a bonus pool for the employees. So individual bonuses can be based on an employee's base pay, on the percentage of time during the past year the employee worked for the company, or on similar arrangements. This may seem like a substantial bonus, but if the company fails to meet its profitability levels, then the bonus is zero. Next is gain sharing. So gain sharing emphasizes the cost of output rather than the profit levels. With this plan, employees share the benefits of quality and productivity improvements made during the year. So the pool of money for the bonuses come from the cost items under the control of employees. So the individual bonuses should represent an appropriate share of the gains. So ayan. The next is incentive plan trend. So despite the trend toward using individual incentive systems, there are a number of disadvantages. Such systems have been shown to undermine the teamwork and give employees a short-term focus. So there was a study of 20 Social Security Administration offices showed that an individual merit pay system had no effect on worker performance. So this finding tells us that individual incentive plans need significantly more data collection by management than time-based system. So there's evidences that suggest that group incentive systems suffer from the free rider problem. So this free rider is the person who does not do his or her fair share but is still completely rewarded by the work of the group. So this still the extent of free riding is modest, but most likely because of group pressure. So overall, companies using group incentive systems tend to outperform companies that do not use such systems. The next topic is learning curves. So learning curves is an important factor in calculating labor times is the learning effect. So we all can recall a new task or job that took a long time to finish the first time we tried. However, each subsequent time we did the task, it took less time. It took less time on finishing it. So this is the basis of the learning curve theory. People learn from doing a task and get quicker each time they repeat the task. So I'll show a learning curve figure later. Then the major attributes of a learning curve are that it takes less time to complete the task each additional time it is done by the same employee, and the time savings decrease with each additional time that task is done by that employee. So when the number of times the task is completed doubles, the decrease in time per task affects the rate of the learning curve. So for example, if a learning curve has an 85% learning rate, the second time the task is done will take 85% of the time it took the first time the task was done. So the fourth time the task is done will take 85% of the time it took. And this is an example of a learning curve. So you can see the direct labor of hours per week and the cumulative time per task completed. So the formula for calculating the time the task should take is TLN is equals to time required for the end time the task is done, where T is the time needed to complete the task the first time, L is the learning curve rate, N is the number of times the task is doubled. So if the first time the task was done, the employee took 12 labor hours and the learning rate is 85%. So you have to calculate how long the 16th time that the task is done should take. So the hours needed for the 16th task is equals to 12 times the quantity of 0.85 raised to 4 equals to 6.26 hours. Using the table of learning curve coefficients, so the understanding the learning curve is important, and the amount of labor needed to finish the same task for or build the same product a number of times can be calculated, which allows a company to better estimate the labor cost. The company can also better schedule its workload, since it knows how much labor is needed to complete the task a specific number of times. And calculating the learning rate also is a mean for evaluating productivity, and the company can compare its learning rate with that of its competitors. And the rate of learning is affected when there are changes in designs, personnel, or procedures. Changes mean that an employee must learn something new, which slows down the improvement rate. And an alternative method of calculating the time required to produce a specific unit is to use a table of learning curve. So as shown at this table allows you to calculate the time it should take to build the nth unit, as well as to calculate the total production time required to build the entire production when the nth unit is the last one completed. Work system design within operations management, how it all fits together. So, work system design includes job design, methods analysis, and work measurement. Manufacturing or industrial engineers often do these activities, and job design determines exactly how the product or service will be done and is linked directly to product and process design. And based on the type of product or standard or custom, and its proposed process, so if it's mass producing or producing one at a time, a company determines the skills set needed by its employees, as well as the necessary equipment. Method analysis provides a means for evaluating different processes and materials, thus allowing a company to focus on continuous improvement. This ties in directly with the company's total quality management's focus. And work measurement techniques allow a company to develop standards to use as a basis for evaluating the costs and effectiveness of different methods and materials for building a product or providing services. These time standard provided that a time estimate to use a basis for establishing detailed work schedules and for determining long-term staffing levels. Work system designs provide the means for setting standards against which to compare new methods, new materials, and new designs. It assures that employees know how to do their job and provides information needed by the company to calculate its cost. Sorry for that. Work the system design across the organization. So work system design affects functional areas throughout a company. So we're going to look at why individual functional areas are concerned with work system design. So the first one is accounting. So accounting calculates the cost of products manufactured or services provided. So labor can be a significant portion of the cost of goods or goods sold, especially in the service industries. Accounting measures variances between planned product cost and actual product cost. So accounting can also typically measure the operational efficiency, which is based on work standards. So work system design is an important resource for accounting activities. The next is marketing. So marketing is concerned with work system design because it is the basis for determining lead time. An accurate work projections enable marketing to make viable promise dates to customers. So that slide isn't complete, but I will discuss the other areas concerned with the work system design. So the next one is information system. Information systems use estimates of job duration and resources in the software for scheduling and tracking operations. Purchasing handle requests for materials based on a schedule projected from the work system design. So an accurate scheduling enable cost-effective materials and labor purchasing decisions. So the standard time provides a benchmark for evaluation of new materials and processes. Manufacturing also responds to effective job design, process analysis, and work measurement with high levels of performance and on-time delivery of finished goods. The next is human resources. So human resources uses work sampling to establish and validate hiring criteria. You can see that work system design involves all aspects of an organization that has an impact on how well the organization performs. So in many manufacturing company, job designs and process analysis are both done by manufacturing or industrial engineers. So the engineer works with product blueprints and the workforce to develop job instructions. For these detailed job instructions, the company can develop time standards, and work measurement information is often provided by workers as they complete a job. Accounting may use this information to report the efficiency of manufacturing operations. So, in a service organization, an operation manager or operations analyst may do the job design process analysis. And the work system design helps companies understand the total cost of making a product or providing a service. So it allows companies to evaluate their product or service line and view in the bottom line for each product or service. The last topic I will be discussing is the supply chain link. So for every member of the supply chain needs to have his or her role similarly defined. So the first is methods analysis. So method analysis is used to improve processes and eliminate non-value adding activities such analysis can reduce duplicate efforts among supply chain members. And next is work measurement. So work measurement is used to develop standards for activities performed by members of the supply chain. So the last one is standards. So for standards, for picking and packing materials at warehouses, or standards for unloading and loading at cross docks, are critical for coordinating materials flow within the supply chain. So using these standards to measure job performance is critical to improving chain success. So work system designs includes job design, method analysis, work measurement, and compensation. So each of this is critical and successful to supply chain management. So job design requires clearly specifying what has to be done and who has to do it and how it should be done, and how it should be measured. So like I've said, every member of the supply chain needs to have his or her role similarly defined. That is the end of my discussion. So thank you for listening and have a good night.